This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so welcome everybody on our next Core SIG meeting. Today I'm your moderator and Cyan will help me with taking the notes. As on our agenda, as usually, we have the question and feedback at the beginning. After that, I will show you what come up with the new Kyma release. After that, Cyan will show us and tell about the cooperation with the Knative project. Unfortunately, PK cannot join us, so the selective service in Kyma UI will be presented next time. But we'll have topic from the Krzysztof Kwiatosz, who will present the new design for Kyma UI, so we will be able to give some feedback about it. So let me start with the first point. Do you have any question or feedback already to our project, how we are doing our stuff or anything else?
Matej, I do have a question about the service catalog. I was
Of course.
Piotr, but how's it going there? And I think you guys had some discussion now with them, right? I have no clue going on there.
Okay, but you want to know about our cooperation with the service catalog or about some...
Yes,
okay.
That was discussed the last few weeks, I would say. I'm not sure what was the result out of that.
So basically, in this week, I will become a chair in the service catalog. One of the chair. The second one will be Jonathan from the ABM. And our goal is to merge the CRD implementation. So we want to get rid of the API server and merge the CRD approach there. And we also cooperate with them about setting the PRAW pipelines for that project. For us, it means that we'll have we can influence that project in which direction it will go, right? And about the...
Have you mentioned the migration, Mateusz, already?
Yeah, I didn't mention that. I just mentioned about the changing the get rid of the API server and going with the CRD implementation. But right, we also finishing the story about migrating the API server, migrating service catalog from the API server to the CRD approach in the automation way. Okay, do you want to add something more?
Mainly that's the goal as a first step, right? To have CRDs only.
Okay, and did you discuss already what will happen with the GCP broker, the one that was deprecated?
Yeah. I already added the task that we'll remove it as an add-on from Kyma. And we will investigate two things, to be honest. First is another GCP broker written by Google, which is used in Cloud Foundry, because the guys are really eager to have it also on Kubernetes. And on the other hand, we'll also investigate that new way, right? How Google want to expose their services. We need to check how to unify, for example, getting credentials and things like that. Then it's more or less the POC, right?
Okay, yeah.
That's the plan.
But yeah, it's in service catalog domain, but it's separate from the service catalog project, right? The broker itself. It's totally different team, and it's not related to the service catalog itself, right?
Yes, of course, but it's still related, let's say, to that offering of Google, right? That we want to have in Kyma.
Exactly.
And we will even think about maybe some hybrid solution for that with some broker that will install some custom resources from Google for that. Let's see. We need to think how to do that in the nice unified way with other providers.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, I can. So let's go to the next item on our agenda. It is about new Kyma release, and right now we are preparing to release a new Kyma version. It will be 1.3. The name is Jakarta, and the most important feature will be we'll see in that release will be adding full support for installing Kyma using CLI, Kyma CLI, enhance and our backup restore procedures. And thanks to that, we can execute restore against our new cluster. So we'll test the real end-to-end scenario on our pipelines. We'll give you the possibility to publish events from inside the Kyma cluster and much more. But how implemented features will be nicely described in upcoming blog posts about the Kyma 1.3 release. And when it comes to the date, the first release candidate will be available on this Friday. The second release candidate is planned to be created and tested on Wednesday, July 10th. And the final release should be available for you on Thursday, the 11th of July. That's all if it comes to the release. Now it's time for Cyan and say something about our cooperation with the Knative project.
Question is this the one where we will have the GCP cluster provisioner, channel provisioner? Cyan, do you know if that's the one?
I think that was in the last release. It's already there in production.
One, two. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
Okay. So in Kyma, we are now going more towards Knatives, which means we'll have team focusing more of Knative contributions and how we can align Kyma and Knative together. So we are dedicating a bunch of guys in a single team, and we have Scott and Matt from Knative joining today in our office. Tomorrow we have a workshop, and so more is gonna happen in this space. We'll keep you posted. Ahmed, if you wanna add more details.
Yeah, well, I'm just the idea that we want to leverage more of Knative features in Kyma, and we'll start by replacing kubelets with serving there, and also migrate our eventing NATS channel provisioner to the new channel CRD, then explore the next for the broker and trigger also. Yeah, that's the plan so far.
So the goal is like as thin layer in Kyma as possible and more of Knative components to serve the purpose, right?
Yes, yes. Also, one of the things that showed up recently is for the build, and this is one also the stuff that we might discuss, that we want to probably replace for the function controller that we have as a POC build of Knative build with the Tecton tasks probably. But yeah, we still didn't explore that yet. It's pretty fresh for us.
And there is a difference between the Tecton and the build from the Knative? It will be the one part, or it will become the totally separate projects?
So initially there was a build CRD in Knative, right? And then that developed a little bit. They said, okay, let's have a build pipeline CRD. And that one was, let's say, more of how to implement multi-stage build of some sort. And that kind of evolved to a certain limit that at some point it made sense that there were, let's say, proposal also from different companies to let's extract that outside of Knative project and have it as a separate organization, separate project, and even later became a whole new foundation around Tecton and a couple of other CI/CDs. As far as I know, this is the story that I've seen so far. This cloud native CI foundation something. So that includes, I think, also Jenkins and Tecton and a couple of other projects there. So right now, I think the story, as far as I understand it, also Matt, also correct me, or Scott if I'm wrong, that it is a way for you to have source to image on a Kubernetes cluster, basically. So that should work pretty well with Knative serving. And there are a couple of projects I think that migrated. I think Trigger Mesh already migrated their build from build to Tecton tasks already. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So
Any
thanks,
questions?
Diane.
Mateusz, I can really present that topic if there is still time for that.
Okay, we have of course time for that. So you want to do that right now or after?
Yes, I can do that right now. I prepare it in 1 minute.
Okay, so probably you want to also share your screen.
Yes, of
right?
course.
Okay, so
Thank you.
just I'm stopping sharing, and stage is yours.
Okay. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I would like to present, we have that story with registering applications into Kyma, and the application could have, the application itself could register some APIs and some events. Then we can activate them in the given namespaces and then use them. And today I will show you how to activate just a couple of those provided services or events, not all of them per namespace. And I've just uploaded the dummy application with two services. And one is promotions that has the Swagger file and some ASIC API file capabilities. And the second one is the orders, which just has the API, right? And before that presentation, I've prepared two namespaces that I will use, let's say prod and stage. And I can show you that, let's say in the stage namespace, I'm binding that application to the namespace. That means I will show those services in that namespace only. Then I can, by default, I can select all. That means both service classes then will be created in the namespace. And right now, on the stage will be promotions only available. And at the same time, I already did it for the production that it will be, let's say, orders. And by that, I can really say that some of the classes could just be used in that namespace. And that was already asked feature that one application could be shared between the namespaces, but only if access will be available for the given class of services. Then when I will go to the namespace, to the catalog, you can see in the services that for the production is the orders service class available. And for example, on the stage, there is the promotions, right? Then then the last feature I want to show you that, of course, we can still update those mappings. But for example, on the stage, I can decide that, of course, okay, I want to see all of them, or even select all, update, and back to the stage. And we already see both classes in the given namespace. More or less, that's it. We just given some more flexibility in that area. And if you have any questions, then you can ask at the end of the meeting, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really nice demo.
Piotr?
Yes.
How does this affect the event source ID that we use?
It's still as that was at the beginning. That means it's the application ID more or less, right? That's
okay.
the same application source ID is used, right, for all of those classes. That was out of scope about defining them, let's say, in a different way. But I guess we can work on that, right, to provide more flexibility for that, not hard code those sources, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. Okay. Cool.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, then the last point is the new design for the Kyma UI, and that will be presented by the Krzysztof Kwiatosz. Krzysztof, are you ready?
Yes.
Great.
Totally. Okay, let me share my screen.
Okay, let me. Yeah, I just need to stop this sharing. Okay. Already done.
Desktop 1. Okay, so I would like to give you a quick preview of the new features in the console UI, which we plan to deliver soon. And I do that just because I would like to get some feedback and while we are still in the, let's say, conceptual phase. So the first topic I would like to start with is the logs in the context of Lambda function. As you know, probably currently those logs are shown in the model window, in the model component, which in fact hides the code that generates the logs. And we've been talking to a few, let's say, developers, Lambda developers, and they were all saying that what they need is more like an IDE experience where you can see the logs in the same display as together with the code and together with the testing UI. So this is how we plan to achieve it. So this is the Lambda UI. As you know, it already has two tabs, configuration and test, in the current version. We even plan to separate the code, so that the whole function code will be separated into third tab. But what you can see at the bottom here is the collapsible component for logs for the same Lambda. So no matter on which tab you are currently showing, if it's configuration code or testing, no matter in which phase you are, if you are coding, if you are testing the Lambda, you can always just click this chevron button or drag this borderline to expand the logs for a given Lambda. And you can see all of them. They will be automatically automatically refreshed. You'll be always seeing the recent logs. And we also still plan to add here a pause button if you would like to stop this auto refresh feature and only show stop for a moment and analyze a given section of the logs. You'd be able to search for a log entries based on the text keyword, and you can also configure what you want to see. So we are thinking about things like you could skip the health check logs, which are currently a bit polluting the log streams for Lambda developers. So you could decide to hide the logs from the previous Lambda versions, because whatever goes to the log stream stays there forever. So there you would even find there some logs from older versions of your function. So you would be able to hide those old versions. You could set the time constraints, the time box for the logs, and also the ascending descending order. So this is the first topic. Do you have any questions or feedback?
Do you plan to have a download button or not?
Download button. We can think about it, or just thinking how it's done in Grafana. If it's easy to really download and let's say dump all the logs, we'll think about it. That's a valid use case. Cool.
Did you add any like metrics to it, like the memory it uses or how long it takes to run?
No, but I know that it's possible in Grafana, right? You can then combine. So the Grafana is the tool which, like the advanced tool for logging and inspecting metrics, and then you can see the and even compare the logs with the metrics on the same view in a split mode, and you can really correlate logs with metrics. No, at the moment we don't plan to really go that far with this simple logs component, and we rather have a dedicated Grafana for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if that's all about this one, then I would also like to show you a preview of what we plan for the namespace details view. At the moment, it's a bit empty, and we decided to do something about that. And we are currently interviewing people what they would like to see on the namespace details view. And what we got so far is that the people would like to see what is the current status for the memory consumption, and compare it with the hard limits that they have set for the namespace. So for sure, this this upper part of the memory usage box. We'll also look into how we could display the historical data for memory consumption. And for sure, we would like to show the workload statuses. So having a live update, so WebSocket connection with API that will list us the deployments list with their statuses, pods, replicas, and services, so that we could observe the current statuses of our workloads in the namespace. And we could also see a number, the list of connected applications. And by clicking on the edit button here, we could inspect even which service classes are bound to this namespace from the application. So in my case here, the Baywatch namespace is connected to Night Rider application, and I could see which services and events are connected to the namespace, as what PK was presenting, what Piotr was presenting, that you could selectively bind service classes to a namespace. So you could, as a user on the namespace overview page, you can already inspect which service classes are available for you coming from which applications.
Cool.
Yeah, looks nice.
Great. I'm really glad that you like it. In case you would have some questions or further feedback, then you know how to reach us. We are always open for feedback on the open Kyma Slack channel in the channel console. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And the question, is there any deadline for giving the feedback where you want to implement those views for the next release? Or
no, I think it with the logs, I think we'll be starting with that for 1.5, and for the dashboard view of the namespace details, we plan to start with the collecting the data, so with the GraphQL stuff required for that view. But I think there's still plenty of time to still shape this view. So I think we'll still have like 4 weeks at least until we will have any working UIs.
okay, great.
And Zizek, are you sharing these images with the community, like in the Slack channel for console?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's what I did for yes. Doing that, and also at the SIG core.
Super, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, just a second, let me share my screen. So that was the last point on our agenda, and the final session for the question and the feedback. Any one of us have any question for something that we already presented, or for overall for the Kyma itself?
Nope.
Okay. If not, I think that's it. So thank you very much for attending this SIG meeting, and see you in next 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.